Every time I do this, I feel like it's just magic.
Oh yeah. Caveman cooking.
Nice delicious slab of meat sitting there, dangling over the fire.
It's well, that's caveman style.
Yep.
Oh, it's crispy fat. That's what it is.
This setup, guys, I want to talk to you about an important topic, a bedtime topic. We'll call it camping porn. Well, thanks guys for joining me on this adventure. I do want to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. It's a sincerely good sponsor. We'll get more into that later, but we got a ton of work because we do the overnight winter survival challenge with minimal gear and no sleeping bag, no tent, no food, no water. Yeah, it's going to be a good one, and it's going to be right up your guys' alley. I know you guys have been wanting me to do this for a long time, so let's get right into it. Well, good day guys. I'm going to do some survival today. I know you guys have been waiting for absolutely ever for me to do this. We got the primitive hut behind us. We're going to do a 24-hour survival challenge out here. Kevin put this together a while back. It's primitive, totally primitive. There's a tarp that was used to cover it, but it's got like clay, waddle and daub, I guess you call it. It is called the bordei. Early settlers came here to Canada and actually made these and lived out of them. They were a little bit bigger than this one. This is like, you know, the first one you would make. You'd live in that one, then you make a bigger one. And then you'd have a family and you'd live in that, and then you get tired of that and you'd make something out of stone. I think that's probably the progression there. And then you could lumber some timber some lumber, whatever you call it. And then you'd make a proper farmhouse, and then you'd really get going. And then you'd have 10 kids. And then you'd be farming and you'd have farm animals and things like that. But anyway, we're not going to get there in this video. We're going to start like the early business. So there's going to be some trapping involved. We're going to try to get a meal out of this thing one way or other. I'll show you what I got for primitive stuff. Limited gear. It's not primitive. Well, some of it's primitive. We're going to do primitive fire. We got to get going. We got a lot of stuff to do. I'm going to make the ground bare. I don't know how much snow is there, but whatever snow is there is going to make our fire work a lot less, better, gooder, and all that. We don't want all this ice and whatnot to get into our fire. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm in much better spirits. Therapy. You guys probably need somebody to talk to. I know throughout my life, I've always sought out people that I could bounce ideas off of, and oftentimes those were not the exact right people. They just didn't want to be burdened with my problems. If you have a good friend that'll listen to you, that's great. I do, but there's only so much a good friend can do. So I want to introduce my sponsor is BetterHelp. So go to betterhelp.com/thewoodedbeardsman, and there's going to be a discount code. I'll get to that. Don't skip this. Please don't skip this. You may think that you don't need to talk to somebody now. You may think that you don't need therapy, but sometime in your life, if you're a young man, if you're a woman, I don't even care. If you're a human being, you're going to need some help. You're going to want somebody to bounce ideas off of, to sort through things. Maybe you have big goals that you can't get around, or maybe you've got, trauma or things that you're working on. You're going to get matched. You fill out a short survey, and it's going to tell you, what your priorities are. For me, I thought the interesting one that I could check off was somebody that would question or challenge me. You can have somebody you do want to listen. You just want to be listened to. So that's what the survey is going to do. Also, in most cases, you're going to get matched with a therapist in less than 48 hours. One of over 30,000 different therapists. If you don't like your therapist, this is a great feature. You just cancel them. You just click a button and that person's gone, and then you can converse with your therapist in a way that's most convenient for you. You could set up your appointments so that you don't have to leave your house. That's fantastic, especially when you are working on something that you maybe don't want to be out in public, having to deal with. So you can converse with them over messaging. You can use phone, or you can use video, whatever you prefer. For me, it was about just accepting where I was and just making the best of it. But you know what? I'm gonna make the most of what I have left. As weird as that sounds, because you can't get anything back. And for me, it was just wrapping my mind around the fact that I wasn't, you know, going to be perfect ever again. Working from where I was forward rather than stewing on the things that I've lost. You know what I'm saying? I hope you guys understand that. And to you, your struggle might be other things. And, you know, therapy and speaking to somebody can definitely help you work through those things. So guys, join over 4 million people who have already used BetterHelp and get yourself matched up with a therapist, somebody to talk to right now. Use my link down below, betterhelp.com/thewoodedbeardsman. It's gonna get you 10% off of your first month. Get sorted. Get yourself, you know, get yourself the stuff that you need in order to be able to have a good life. There's no point in suffering by yourself. Go find somebody to talk to. Freezing rain conditions here, and that's all bad news. So I don't want to get my butt wet because I don't have a sleeping bag, so I'm sleeping in whatever I'm wearing right now. I'll show what I got. I got some Princess Auto paracord. I got some tinder here for a tinder bundle. That's actually a squirrel nest. I found a squirrel nest. It's got all kinds of things in there. It shreds it. Incidentally, it shreds it exactly like you would want a tinder bundle. It's mostly cedar and some plant materials in here. I don't know what this white fluff is. It's kind of interesting. But it's got just all the good stuff. So I didn't have to make it. Bottom boards for my friction fire. I'm going to get that going right away. And it's going to be some of the most challenging conditions. I did start to make a new spindle. You can see that's a new spindle. This is an old spindle. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. And I've got a new bottom board as well. Again, I don't know what I'm going to use. And I've got my top bearing block, my bow, and then here's an old one. You see how much shorter they get with time? Like you get a big one here. And I like the big ones, right? Because then I get a whole bunch of fire attempts out of it, and then they just get smaller and whittled down the more you go. I really shouldn't be putting this in the snow, but here we are. I got a grill in case we catch some food. Saw for firewood. Got a shovel for manipulating the snow. And then I got some trap set tools here. Is we're gonna do some squirrel trapping. Got the traps as well and an axe. So pretty basic stuff. This is mostly camera gear. And then you might have been wondering what the heck this is. That's a trout. I caught it myself and I'm hungry, so I'm going to try to cook it now. Well, it probably won't be ready till afternoon. I want to cook this up primitively. I got a new cooking technique I want to show you guys. So we will toss this trout in the snow and let it chill. And we're gonna get a fire going right now, and then we're immediately gonna go set traps because we want our traps to work as long as possible. I am delaying because I don't really remember how to make a friction fire anymore. Here's the other tinder I had. You see how it's like, it's still bark form? So you have to shred that. And shredding it's not fun because it's dusty and it's a lot of work and it's really hard on your hands. So again, I'm delaying. But I got a lot of work to do. Some of you might not want to go that deep, but you know what? In this case, deeper's better because we're just going to end up with a bigger bed of coals by the time we get to level, and that it can be a way that we control the heat. Oh, there's one little bit of kit that I forgot to mention. I got a pot for boiling water. Do a peek inside. We'll do a tour in there in a bit, but for now, I say we're on the clock here. We got to get food going, and then we got to get traps set. Ugh. Bushcraft don't have to be pretty. It's just got to get the job done. Tinder bundle down there, and then we can fold that up over top, and it should take. So I decided I'm going to use my old spindle to do the burn-in. Normally I like to reuse one of these holes if I can, because it saves just a ton of work. Just an absolute ton of work. But if I get the burn in here, then I don't have to sharpen my other spindle. I can probably make do with it. But this will get the burn in, and then I could switch to the rounded over bit. So this is a new bow as well, and I don't know if it's gonna work. It's also a lot more flexible than I would normally use. And the string's a lot tighter than I would normally use. But here we are, making the most of it. And ladies and gentlemen, I am battling a cold for a week, 3 weeks now. 3 weeks I've been battling this dang cold. Tell you, having no colds for 3 years has not done me any service, because now I'm just paying for it. Absolutely paying for it. Okay, flat surface. This is a brand new spindle. And we'll see what happens. Oh, we got some smoke, but of course you guys can't see because the camera is a pitch too high. Back it up for you guys. There we go. Okay. I got some smoke already, which is good. I'm gonna move everything out of the way, move the chair out of the way. A little bit more. We're not quite deep enough in the hearth board. Holy smokes, we almost went through. Okay, check on that one. But that's because it's so dang pointy. The dust that's forming on top there. That's the stuff we want. I'm gonna make a little slit there, like on the other side, those ones there, and that's where the dust is gonna collect for us. Oh, we should be able to just cut it out. You guys can see, we're just gonna cut that notch out. And I'm gonna make a little groove at the bottom here. So I'm gonna hollow it out this way and that way, just so that more of that dust can collect in that groove at the bottom. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the point off of this, and we're gonna keep going with what has been working so far. At this point, we're just collecting dust. Once we get enough in the groove, then we can ignite it. Just gonna pull some down there. Not worry about igniting yet. Just building the dust. Okay, get that collected again. Some of it's spilling out because so we're a little bit deeper than I would like. There's that cold. And it's quite humid today, so we got to get that up a little bit higher. It's not going yet, but this is going to be the final push here. Okay, we should have it now. We're going to give it some puff, which is giving it oxygen without spoiling it. I do want to get that bundled up better, but because there's a lot of dust spilling out the bottom, you should be able to see that smoke is coming out of the bottom right now, which means it's lit. That's a good thing. We just want to keep it lit. Dump the rest in there and let it rest, let it do what it needs to do, which is basically it's got to grow a little bit here now. You see, it's pretty precarious. I would say very precarious at this point. See, it's not quite formed together yet, but we don't want to blow on it, because if we blow on it, it's gonna spill. But if we waft it like this, it's gonna continue to grow together. And we have some time here, we're not in a rush. And then once it starts getting together a little bit more, we can blow it gently, or we just talk to it. You know, you guys talk to plants, and that helps plants because it gives them a little bit of oxygen. Well, we can do the same thing here. Talk to our little bundle here, and it's going to keep growing. We got a little bit of coal forming now. A little bit of redness. So I'm using cedar on cedar. The tinder bundle is going to be cedar as well, with plants and whatever the squirrel decided to mix in there. So we're going to keep that, letting that grow until it forms into something kind of solid. Okay, keep growing. Every time I do this, I feel like it's just magic. Take our knife here and just kind of keep bundling it up. We just put that good stuff on top. Now that I feel kind of safe, I'm just gonna chuck it into the tinder bundle there by just tipping it over. And if it's formulated together, it should stay together, and then it should basically just keep kind of going. This squirrel kind of found some, looks like some foreign material here, like some, I don't know what that is. Made the nest out of it anyway. Maybe you could see inside there. Probably not, but it's starting to turn red and glow. All right, I'm gonna pay a bit more attention to this, a bit more love. And eventually this is gonna rise to such a temperature that it's gonna engulf in flames. So we need to get ready here to get it in the fire. Move everything out of the way here. Oh, come on. My rope is all caught in my fire, and this is bad timing. Okay, there we go. All right, get this out. We need that for later, maybe. We want to keep our breath when we suck in, got it to our lungs. As long as we keep this aimed upwards, the flame will go upwards once it ignites. This smells like squirrel. There we go, there's our flame. We'll get in our fire and get it to engulf. Oh, there we go. Huh. Oh, dizzy. There we go. We got our sticks on top, and then we'll grab some bigger wood. This stuff's got to dry a little bit before it catches. I got myself a big giant apple tree. It's got a lot of water on the outside, but it's hardwood and it's gonna be great for smoking my trout. Yeah. So I'm just gonna load it up and melt a lot of the water off the bottom, and that's gonna make a nice coal bed. In the meantime, it's gonna make some nice smoke, which will make a delicious trout. I am hoping to get some land-dwelling species. So once this gets set up, I gotta zip over and grab my traps and all that stuff, and we're gonna try to get some squirrels or whatever else wants to go on a dang trap. I'll eat because I'm already starting to get hungry. All right, let's get this trout set up. I gotta show you a new technique for cooking it, and then we'll go down to the next order of business. Still want to take you guys on a tour of the bordei and show you where I'm going to be sleeping, but first things first, gotta do everything in order. Need one more. Nothing fancy. You guys know I don't do anything fancy. I'm not going to start now. As long as it gets done, that's all that matters. I'm going to leave this tail end long for now, so I don't have to retie it. Alright, well there's your trout. Hope you guys will follow along. Maybe you can try this yourself if you can catch yourself a delicious whole trout. You see all the guts are still in there. It is winter time, so it's frozen stiff. Sea stiff. Yeah, she's sea stiff, alright. So if you're going to do this, you got to do a certain way. So like I said, follow along. So we're going to pretend we're filleting it, but we're not going to fillet it. So we got to show some restraint when we get down to the bottom. We can go through here, and then we've got to show some restraint. Right there, we're going to stop. We're not going to go any further than that. We're going to go through at the bottom there. Keep following. You're going to learn something new here. All the way through. Okay, we're going to leave that like that. Okay, leave it. Leave it. And we're going to do the same side. Same thing on the other side. So you guys don't have to watch this. We'll skip forward maybe, or maybe we won't. I don't know. Like so. So you got the rib cage there. There will be the pin bones, but it's okay. We're not going to worry about those. Here's the tricky magic part here. So you see we've got the fish here. We've got the spinal cord. We've got the ribs on either side, and we got the guts. So what we're going to do here is where we stopped, we're going to, hopefully without too much trouble and not cut ourselves, get through that backbone. There we go. Okay, we didn't screw anything up. So the fish, obviously we're not going to waste that. That could be good for bait, fish head soup. We will save it. So what you got left here is a dandy, handy dandy, pre-hung fish. Beauty. Now we have a rope and a fish, but that ain't gonna do us any good because we could tie it on. It's not really the best way to do it, so we're gonna do some bushcraft again. Height wise, I don't know. We want more smoke than flame, so something like that. We'd tie it long, and then we can wrap it and shrink it. We can move it away from the fire, we can move it away from the flame. Like, we could stick it on a stick too. But I like this method because it's just like a front loading all the work. And we take our trout here, and this is just a tree turned upside down, right? So the branches are the right way. Pooh, smoky. And we just let her dangle. And dangle our fish in the smoke there. And we take that leg, if we don't like it where it's at, we take that leg and go there. And the smoke goes over there. The only thing we got to worry about is this thing like properly cooking all the way through that tail and then dropping in the fire. That would not be ideal. So we can maybe make a catch here so it doesn't end up in the dirt. If it does fall, Also, this will help kind of melt that snow off a little bit. So if it catches, it's going to go splat right there. And then if we run it really smoky, we could like actually just turn it upside down, but we're going to let that go like that for now and let some of that fat work into the meat and whatnot. So we'll keep this for bait. Might be able to catch a more scavenger type animal, predatory animal, and if it doesn't eat it, then it's always breakfast. Go up behind the shelter here and we should get a pot of water going. Oh, relatively clean snow. I mean, there's going to be some needles and things in it, but we don't want any poop in there. Poop or dirt. That's not too bad. Geez, I don't know what's dirtier, the snow or my hands. Oh, it's cold snow. It's that just barely below freezing kind of deal. Oh, ouch. It's crystallizing and it hurts my fingers. My poor fingies. Oh, good thing is it's dense enough. Oh, so I won't have to boil a ton of it. You guys ever heard of baffins? Well, I tried to order them through cabela's.com, and then they told me I couldn't use my gift cards. So I had to order through basspro.ca, cabela's.ca, and then it turns out they were on sale. So I got them like $100 off of the Canadian price, which means that they were like practically free. Baffins. They're comfy. It's like kind of like wearing slippers. So on this, we're going to use a little trick. My buddy Jared designed this a long time ago. He calls it the fishy thing. He tried to sell them, and it turns out like not a ton of people actually do bushcrafty stuff, which I was a little bit disappointed by. So he's got a ton of these things left, and he's an entrepreneur and all that stuff. So I don't know if you guys want a fishy thing, let me know. But basically what happens is you pull it up and then it locks in place here. That's the fishy thing there. And then you can adjust the height. So instead of doing something like that, you can do it like this. And then, you know those canteens? This slides in the canteen, and when you pull it up, it locks, right? And then you put your canteen there. So I'm gonna use a billy can, right? And I'm just gonna hang it like that. So if I don't like the height there, what I do is I hold the fishy thing and then I adjust it like that. And then if I want it lower, I just adjust it like that and I lower it. So bushcraft. Anyway, I thought it was a really good idea, and I told him at the outset, like, you know, I think it's a good idea. It's just, we try to sell like saws and things like that on the website, and you guys do buy them, but it's just, you know, a lot of people that watch YouTube videos can't actually go out and use the stuff. And you know, I can, so I can see the value in it. Anyway, whatever. The fishy thing is a great invention. I'll load up the wood here on the side just to encourage it to dry. There's lots of moisture on this right now just from the snow sticking to it. You can never have enough firewood in the winter, so that's a lot. You're almost sure to run out eventually. Water is boiling pretty good. Overnight, winter, no sleeping bag, no water, no food. Well, I don't know if it's no food, but so far we got a little bit of food. We gotta need more though. We don't want our fish too close to the fire because we're not gonna be watching this sucker. We want it to just smoke. Not cook, smoke. Because we gotta get, well, we're gonna leave it unattended for as long as we need to, because we gotta get food. This is, the water and the fish is just not, there's not a lot of calories in that trout, trust me. It looks like a lot of food. Maybe it looks like a lot of food, but I'm telling you, man, if you ate a can of tuna or 10 cans of tuna in a day, you would feel very, very hungry. So let's get more food. Well, if you're gonna make a goal of long-term survival out in the wilderness, you gotta think about food early, and you gotta think about food often. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go a fair ways away from camp to make sure that we maximize animal activity. If we sit up too close to camp, we're gonna depress animal activity and we're not gonna be as successful. So this trap season, I've been playing around a little bit with these coney bear traps. I've got a couple of ones to show you here. This is a 110. It's a small one. It's about a mink-sized trap, red squirrel, gray squirrel, black squirrel, that kind of thing. Nothing much bigger than that, muskrat. It just doesn't have the force grip power to crush the windpipe or the lungs of an animal. Bigger than that, I should say. And then this is a 330 coney bear. It's obviously much larger. This is a beaver-sized trap. This will kill a raccoon upwards. There's also a 220, which I don't have here today, which splits the gap between this 330 and the 110, and that will do raccoon-sized animals. So you got a couple in that family as well. We are going to target smaller rodents because, well, they're more plentiful and we should yield a better result. If there was water around here, we could go after beaver or muskrat or mink, even that for that matter. But we're going to do land animals, so we're going to stick to the smaller trap here, which is the 110. So I've got this new trap set up. It's called a stump set, and it's proven to be very, very successful. So you can set this up for all kinds of animals, including raccoons, skunks, anything that an animal will reach up and stick its head into. And it's very simply made using a chainsaw. Just do a plunge cut. And what you're going to do is hollow out the same or roughly slightly larger that the trap you're using. If you're using a 110, you're going to use a small stump and a small hole, and then all the way up to a 330. Now, it's not legal for us to use 330 traps on land. They must be in water submerged, and so that limits the size of a trap that we can use to a 220. And like I said before, that will catch and kill a medium-sized animal such as a raccoon. So on our purpose, we're going to use a 110, and we're going to target squirrels. That doesn't mean we might not catch other animals, which means we need to fasten our traps to something where an animal can't get away with it. They can get arms and legs, and they can get their neck stuck to, or ear, or some other weird part of an animal that's not exactly going to kill them, like their tail, and we don't want them to take off with our trap. So I've got a pretty good setup here. We've got some chicken wire on the back. That's just fastened to the back here so that the squirrel can't steal, or any other animal can't steal from the back here. And then the front is mainly where the business end is going to happen. We've got a channel cut out here, which we'll put the coney bear in. And then we've got a ramp, so it makes it easy for them to approach. We've got some corn scattered around here. We've got another plan for this flat stump. I'll show you that in a second. But we've got another similar setup over here. Again, with a ton of bait. We're just using some field corn here, and we got a ramp set up as well. We're going to set this all up with trail cameras, so catch the action here. We can also try something else. We could use rat traps. I've used those before. I've got a bunch from Princess Auto. They've got all kinds of traps. They won't carry stuff like coney bear traps because they're actually not legal for anybody to have in possession here, except for trappers, and you're actually not supposed to mess with them either. Now, if you're worried about like cats and dogs and things like that, you can actually do these stump sets up much higher. And so this is like we'll say it's a dog proof or cat proof, up on top of a log or hollowed out of a dead tree up nice and high. Raccoons and things like that will be able to access it, and your domesticated pets would just not really bother with it. A curious cat might stick their head in there, like a lynx, but the chances of a domestic cat coming in there and messing with that is pretty slim to none. Which is incidentally why I want to show you how these coney bear traps are set, because if you happen to have a domesticated pet inside of a trap, I think you should be able to open it, even though technically you're not supposed to. But if you notice somebody's cat in a trap, I think you should help it. So you don't need to have a trap setter. This is a trap setter. It just makes life a lot easier. These 110s you should be able to do by hand. For me, I find them pretty tricky. My hands aren't that big and they're just not quite that strong. So if I have it, I'm going to use it. I could probably manage to get this 110 set without it. And so we're just going to take the setters and we're going to grab the edge here. And what's cool about these setters is there's actually a keeper here, so that as soon as I close it, it stays, and that gives me enough time to put the safety on as well there, and then I just release it, and then we're going to go on the other side, And this actually, what confused me first when I was setting these is they look very much the same when they're not set as to when they are set, just because they're still square. But you'll understand how it works as they get this together. So these springs are set. These springs open and close. What we're going to do here is we're going to fold it against itself, and then we're going to load those springs. So we want the trigger to be roughly in the middle. We can offset that if we want, and then we're just going to pinch it across itself, fold that over, and have it catch into the trigger. So now if we catch this here, it's going to close. It's not closing because my hand is there. So we want to keep our hands free of the trap, so we move our hands away like that. Our hands are going to be in danger anywhere in that window there. So now this is set, except for the fact that the safeties are on, so these can't expand, and because it can't expand, it can only open a certain amount. So I'll show you again. It can only open this amount because the spring is preventing it from, or I should say the safety here is preventing it from opening up completely. So all of those traps, the 110, this one, the 220 and the 330 work all on the same principle. It's just a matter of scale. And then we've got some rope here. Ideally we'd have chain because an animal could chew through this and escape and then steal our trap. Although a squirrel probably wouldn't get too far, a raccoon might. We can slide that right into our channel here, and we can see it should make a nice fit. And then all we have to do is fold these ears down, or up or down, whatever works best, in order to secure it into the trap, into the stump set trap, I should say. Now, obviously, if we leave it like this, we're not going to catch anything because, again, those safeties are on. So let's get the safeties switched off. We just fold those over. Now the trap is 100% live. And then the next thing we need to do is just get her secured in there. Now, if you can picture what's going to happen, if a squirrel goes in there, or anything else for that matter, it's going to trigger that trap, and then the springs here are going to shoot. Now, what should happen is, because it's fastened to the back, it's actually going to spring forward. So if any animal is up over here, touches that, the trap is actually going to shoot forward across the animal, and we're going to have ourselves something to eat. So we just got to repeat this a few more, and I have a couple more tricks up my sleeve in order for this to be much more effective. So now we take our rope and we throw it over top of the stump here, so that if anything does get caught, it can't take off with our trap. Could a squirrel get through there? Probably a red squirrel could sneak through without tripping it. So I thought about being a little bit sneakier on this one and actually just caging it in completely, so a squirrel really has to work to get in there. Basically going to expand the size of the trigger. We just got to make sure it doesn't interfere at all with the mechanism. Ew, this is precarious as heck. Whether we're going to be able to get it inside there without tripping it. Wow, there we go. Okay, so that should work there. So that squirrel starts fooling around in there, it's gonna get some business. Now we're playing with fire, broskies. And you don't want to have your fingers like here, because that's gonna shoot back on you. So you definitely want to only play with the end parts of the springs. So you can see the only way the squirrel is gonna get any food is the stuff that's already on the ground here spread around. And he's gonna have to dig like heck to get in there, which means he's gonna trip that. And I got cameras. I'm gonna have cameras rigged up everywhere here, so we're gonna get the action. All right, so my final trick for today is going to be interesting. So this is a canister. It's got holes drilled all into it, and it's got peanut butter. This is the ultimate squirrel, rat, you name it, bait. It's you can catch almost anything with peanut butter. So I've got a couple of holes made in the top there, and this is gonna go hopefully pretty smoothly over the trigger here without stabbing myself. There we go. So I'm gonna put that canister hopefully all the way to the top, at least get it out of the way of the jaws. I've tried this with gray squirrels, I should say gray and black squirrels, and those suckers will go in there and they'll chew the whole dang thing apart and eat everything inside. Whether they trigger it, sometimes they have managed to not trigger it. I don't know how.
I was thinking maybe it's a mouse chewing it and it's just chewing it very, very carefully. But we're gonna see what kind of effect that has on a squirrel. I think it should work. We're setting up quite the gauntlet here. We got a set there, we got a set here, and then this one is gonna be kind of a log set. Ideally, you have little clips. They make little clips where you can set it on the stump and then it doesn't rock. All we gotta do is make sure we don't pinch ourselves while we're doing this. That's kind of the main thing. Falls on the squirrel, that's all the better, right? Falls down on the tips backwards on the squirrel. I don't really care. Doesn't work, then, well, it's been an experiment anyway, and we've learned something. That's what it's all about. And if you guys think we're Canadian, we say a boot. I don't say a boot, we say a bout. Final trick. I feel like I've said final trick before, so I'm just gonna say this is the final one. We got some fresh peanut butter in a trap. This is I got a whole bunch from Princess Auto, so Princess Auto is a good place to buy your stuff, and it's a good sponsor to the channel, so I don't mind mentioning them. If you want to know how to set them, just keep your thumb on there, right? Once your thumb's on there is fine. And then you want to back out of the trap, and actually they've done a pretty interesting thing here. It's like, do you see that black line that goes all the way around here? I almost touched the trigger there, I shouldn't do that. Yeah, there we go. Hit the trigger. They've made a black line here. That's the danger zone. So if you keep your fingers out of this little black painted area there, you can't get yourself. And then what you do is you back away from the trap. So you got your thumb there, right? You get it set, and you kind of let a little bit of weight off, and see, now I got peanut butter in the trap. A mechanism there now, so it's going to be slippery, which means it's going to work good. So if you just take your hands at the back here, stay out of the black area there, grab below the wood part, and then just back your hand away like that, it cannot snap you. And then if you're handling it from the back here, and you keep your hand below the wood, and then you just kind of settle it down there, and then you back your hand away, you cannot trap your hand. And if you want to grab it, you always grab it below the wood, and so if it happens to go, you're safe. And then I want to set this to the back edge here because I want the squirrel to go here and work the trap from this side. And hopefully that'll provide us with some dinner. All right, I'm gonna be able to get some live action feed here because I've got a Reveal X, and that is going to be programmed directly through a cell plan to my phone, so we can get alerted right away if anything should happen in our traps. And then to get a better view of sort of what's going on here, if we want to see like how the animals respond to the traps, we got some browning ones, and these ones are maybe slightly better. Well, they'll be tighter framed onto the traps, so we're gonna really see how the animals respond to that. We're gonna make sure we're on video mode. We got low battery on that one, which is a little bit of a piff, the rat trap. And so we've got basically 4 chances to get something. If we get 4 squirrels, we're gonna be eating like kings. If we don't get any, we're gonna be starving because it is a survival challenge in the winter. It's a good thing we got back here. It's just how quickly you might lose everything, right? This stuff's nice and dry, so we can keep adding there. And it shouldn't be too bad to get that fire going again because building up a nice bed of coals, and we're going to keep doing that throughout the evening here. It should spark back up as soon as we give it a bit more life, and we'll get our trout cooked up. We're going to pull that apart and give it a little bit of TLC. This is going to be my sleeping quarters. Oh, it's dark in here. Looks like Kevin left a little bit of wood here. I do have a little lantern here. So we'll fire that up, and then you guys have a better look. So that's obviously going to be used for the wood stove. I'll show you guys that in a second, but first we want to make sure we don't have any rodents up there. Any squirrels, raccoons, or skunks. That would be a pretty nice place for them to hide. Thankfully there's nothing there, and you can see the roof structure, just basically rib structure with tarp put over top of it. And then the most important feature here, obviously besides having a completely enclosed space, is that this bed is raised.
So a lot of the hot air is going to rise up to the top and heat, and then this is going to insulate from the cold on the bottom, and that's just grass, which grabbed from the swamp. So, and then underneath there, I could show you guys there, it's just a bed that's been made with cross members across here, and the grass actually feels nice and dry, but a little damp. And then you can see the waddle and daub business here. So that's just basically a meshwork of sticks that were put together, and then clay mixed in between, and it's all held together. And then as this thing heats, it sort of becomes all one unit. The door is made to be super narrow here, and so that traps a lot of the heat inside. And then the idea of making this structure was to make it primitive and then make it as if you were like poor. And so Kevin just took an old gas canister here, and then he just hacked the door out of the front of it, and then so it's pretty much held together just with whatever tin was in there. And he's got a little catch here, so of course we don't get anything landing on the ground and catching fire. And then he's made a bit of a heat sink here by adding some rocks, and then up top is a chimney pipe, and then he's made a protector here so that it doesn't make contact with the tarp, and then the main channel works through there, and so that kind of keeps it from catching fire. And then he's got some windows put in here with some bit of planing, so you could peek out there if you had a door. A door could be installed with a tarp, and there's another window over here so you can look outside. So basically, once you get in here, it is pretty comfortable. It sleeps one really well. It's all designed to be pretty primitive, pretty cozy, not a lot of space because you want to trap heat in here. So once we get a little bit closer to dark, I'll load that little fireplace up there and get that loaded up, and then we'll dry off whatever's in here. Shake out the bed here, make sure there's no bugs or mice or anything living in here. There shouldn't be too bad. And then obviously we're hoping on a mild night. So we will remove this from the fire here. Easiest way possible, just slide it off that. And well, we're gonna come up here where there may be a little bit of cleaner snow. It's starting to get a nice brown texture. We'll add some adobo seasoning, because now is the time to indulge in that sort of thing. And then because it's mostly cooked already, maple sugar, and we're just going to work that in there, and that should caramelize and brown and do all sorts of delicious things to this trout while we wait to catch some more food. Get her to smoke so we can eat it, because we're getting hungry. I don't know if that water came to a boil or not. I wasn't here to supervise, but seems to be okay. And we got to pay attention now, because it's going to be in a an orientation where it's potentially going to want to fall off there. So as long as we keep a close eye on it, we should be okay. Oh, that fish is looking pretty good. It's a interesting cooking technique. I will say that the top here, I thought that would become a lot more fragile, but it's actually kind of raw still at the top, because obviously the heat's rising. So this bottom part is getting cooked and this top part is kind of insulated. Also on the back, you'll notice that this isn't quite cooked at all. In fact, it's pretty much raw, except for a little bit on the bottom. But the other side, this side was facing the fire and the smoke, and it's nice and tender, and I would say that's pretty much ready to eat on that side. So you do have to tend to it a little bit more. If obviously you can get it to spin and rotate, it would obviously cook more evenly. So unfortunately, cavemen don't get utensils. They can use sticks though. And if we're careful enough, we shouldn't lose the fish into the fire. But boy, is that hot. That just means those fats have been, successfully cooking down in there. I'm gonna grab a chunk there in a second. Oh, man. I like that technique. Worked really well. Ouch, that is so dang hot. Whew. Oh yeah. Oh, I can even taste the maple syrup on there. maple sugar and the adobo. Oh, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Wow. And the applewood, oh, so good. Absolutely perfect. Oh, that's so good. So good. I can't believe how good that tastes. It's like mint. Wow. That is so good. Look at the fat dripping off the bottom. I could taste the caramelization of the maple sugar. The adobo's there. The smoke is subtle. It's there, but it's subtle. Not overwhelming at all. Like, that's mint. Okay, it can dangle in the fire. Look at that. Whew. Whew, that fat is hot. Wow. Okay, now I got a big chunk. Right there. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, so good. So good. Well, I'm going to polish this off and then we're going to go check our squirrel trap to see if we don't have some dinner. Because we need more food if we're going to actually prove that we can do some winter survival here. Well, it's getting on in the day. And that's should be plenty of time for those traps to work or not work as it is. You know, either they're going to go or they're not going to go. Well, we got some good news and some bad news. Let's start off with the bad news first. There's a ton of corn like scattered absolutely everywhere. Like obviously they're getting under there, whatever it is, getting under there and dragging it out. And then it's eating the stuff down here. Like it hasn't even touched this thing. I'm surprised. It's only a matter of time. Put it that way. It's only a matter of time. But we did have some success. So we actually did get ourselves a big gray squirrel. A good nut catch on this one over here. I think I'm going to spend some time before I go and cover up all of, like I can't pick up every single kernel here, but I can take some snow and pack down like all of these kernels up here that the squirrel is moving around, and I can bury those. And so the only thing left that the squirrel is going to actually be able to grab is going to be in here. So I think that's the main mistake, is the squirrel's coming in there and pulling down. I'll get to know a little bit more with the trail cameras. I'll know that that camera is dead because I just checked it because I want to see if I got the catch on film, and I didn't because the batteries are dead. The other one I think was even lower, so chances are it's probably dead as well, but I probably have some squirrel activity before it completely died. So we can see how like the squirrels are relating to the traps, because that's ultimately the main thing. If, like I said, if I left these longer, I'm sure they would all work. Like even the peanut butter up here, I have had this work on red squirrels before. It does work. I know it works. It's just a matter of time. These stump sets obviously work too. We got ourselves a gray. We could get a black, same, but this is going to be meaty. It's like you do want them to work like perfectly all the time and like all of them go, but I mean, we got some more food. There we go. Nice big fat gray squirrel. These are about almost as big as a cottontail. There we go. Nice gray squirrel. Big fat juicy one. Not too frozen. A little bit frozen. Should be able to get them cleaned up. Whoa, that was a lot of work. But that cleaned it up pretty nicely. You see before here there was corn like scattered everywhere. He's just clawing the stuff out, right? I wanted to go in there. Like a lynx or a bobcat. Well, I did decide what I was going to do with my friend here. Mr. Squirrel. He's a little bit riggered. Getting riggered there, buddy. Hey? What do you smell like? Doesn't smell too bad. Remember, whatever food smells like, it tastes like. If you ever had a rutted up buck, that's exactly what a rutted up buck tastes like. Ugh, rutted up. Taking this thing apart, and we're just gonna suds it in that water, and we can bring it inside, put it on the stove there, or just continue to cook it out here. So I'm just gonna peel it open like a sock, and we'll grab that meat. I'm pretty impressed that that worked. Stump set. You use stump sets for other things too, like links and whatnot, and it does work. We got this thing nicely cleared up. Oh. Jump her in the water. There we go. All we gotta do is give that a stir. Every once in a while, it should tenderize. And get the light on in here. And the shelter. I can see it's kind of neat. If you tap this, the light turns on. A little light there. But we got to get a fire going inside here. So we're going to transfer some coals. I'll grab the shovel, and I'm going to make sure that the smokestack's working, good working order. Otherwise, we're going to have a bit of a backdraft. So backdraft. Once we get this set up, guys, I want to talk to you about an important topic. It's kind of a bedtime topic. We'll call it camping porn. Get a shovel full of coals and bring it inside. As long as we keep it away from the bed there, we should be good. There we go. And whatever falls on the floor should go out anyway, because it's clay bottom. A couple more scoops. It is getting warm in here already. There we go. This thing got a nice coal bed, and then we got some chunks here that the previous guest to this bordei has left behind, and so these should take off real quick. Check our stovepipe. Looks like we got some smoke coming out. We need that to heat up a little bit. It's starting to get warm already, and then it'll start to draw. So pretty humble abode. A nice spot up here for the light, and then we can just hunker down and settle in, just like that. This fire should take off in a second, and then you guys can enjoy it. But imagine while I'm talking, it's gonna spark up too. Just gotta let that work a little bit. Gotta save some wood for the morning too, or I might have to get some more in the morning probably. All right, we'll let that go, because obviously once it starts flaming, it's gonna keep going and it's gonna get real hot here. So camping porn, I thought would be fun to do, like, you know, those react movies or videos or whatever. If Courtney were to help me with it, because she could react too. We actually did like a funny react video, except we didn't film it. We were just watching it. I'm like, Courtney, come watch this video, it's hilarious. Because you know what, every once in a while you get a thumbnail and you're like, oh, and you don't click on it, and then YouTube like recommends it again, you're like, oh, and then you don't watch it, and then YouTube recommends it again, and you're like, okay, this video must be really good, because why would YouTube just keep recommending it to me? That's what I've learned. Because I know when I make a video that is good, if it just gets recommended till people click on it, it's like YouTube just becomes relentless about this. So I was getting these recommendations, let's say, from YouTube of these girls camping. And they weren't wearing a lot of clothes in the thumbnail, so I'm like, oh, this could be clickbait, and I'm just gonna walk myself into this, and like, they're not gonna deliver. But I'll tell you what, these camping porn videos delivered. I mean, it's not like porn. It's like, obviously it's just like, you know, a girl in a thong, or, well, it's a girl in a thong. Like, it's legitimately a girl in a thong. And I think Courtney didn't want to do the react video. That's my wife, by the way. She didn't want to do the react video because, like, she didn't want to say anything bad about the girl or anybody. She didn't want to say anything bad about anybody. And so she didn't want to, like, openly, like, you know, cut somebody up or whatever. I thought it was funny. So we were watching the video. I'm not going to name the video, and I'm recommending that you guys don't click on the video, because as soon as you click on any of these camping porn videos, it's like a family of videos, right? So YouTube's like, oh, this guy likes camping porn, and then you're just going to recommend you more camping porn, and then you're going to, now you guys are definitely going to be clicking on this. You can't search camping porn, by the way, because that's not what it's called. It just is. So it's like a girl in a thong, and then, like I say, there's going to be a family of girls in thongs, and they're going to be out camping. And to me, it's like, when I watch it, I'm like, you know, is this a girl who like legitimately is like out there looking for attention, or trying to make money, or hustling? Because you can respect the hustle. Or is like a dude like making this girl go out, and then there's like a pimp situation where this dude's like forcing this girl to do camping porn so that he can make a bunch of bank. Because like I grew up, and like girls did porn because like there was a pimp situation, and like the girls could never possibly want to actually do it or enjoy it. They were like being forced to do it, and it was like some misogynistic situation, and like there's no possible way that a girl can actually enjoy doing it. And then I became enlightened, you know, and realized that, you know, a girl could actually should actually want to do it. I mean, like it's not a good career choice, and like there's all sorts of fallout from doing it, but like, you know, I've heard of girls like that actually seem to enjoy it, and they have a high sex drive, and they really want to. And so I'm thinking there's like these camping girls, like camping girls, let's just call it camping girls from now on. They you know, maybe they really want the attention or the money, and like the alternative to get money and to get attention is like not healthy or good. Like she could be out and like be promiscuous and get attention, but like, or she could just film herself doing camping in a thong, which is completely inappropriate as far as the weather goes, and all that. And then she might, you know, that might be just a good alternative for her to fulfill herself and like her needs of getting attention. I'll tell you, they're committed. Like, they're committed. Like, it's cold. It looks really cold, but it doesn't, like, they don't look like they're making it look like it's cold. Like, when you go out in the woods, it's cold. Like, there's not too many places you go out in the woods where it's actually wildernessy. That's not filled with people and warm. Because if it's, you know, there's no people there, it's going to probably be a cold place. So these girls are, like, legitimately committed to it. And, the tastefulness of these videos is not very good. Like, I'm wondering if I'm going to see booty hole. And I think that's probably why, like, most guys, like, not me, of course, like, I was just curious. I only watched one. And, like, the dudes, like, you know, they're skipping through, and, like, they're trying to find the high viewpoint. You know those little valleys and summits you can see at the bottom. He's like, oh, this is where most people, this is high retention, this is where all the dudes went to, and they found like the nugget, the gold nugget. And like usually it's like a girl like bent over, like, and like the thong is like, it's just barely covering the, you know, the eyeball. And so, like, I know you guys watch, I know, like, not all you guys, like, I know my guys are, most of you guys don't watch, but you probably, like me, you stumbled on it and you were curious and you watched. But the big warning here again is, like, don't click on it, because once you get in that avenue of camping, girl camping, like, you're gonna get recommended to no end, and then you're gonna have this temptation of, like, do I click on it? And then your YouTube recommendations are gonna be like, oh, camping, girl camping, and then your wife's gonna come in the room and she's gonna be like, what are you doing? And then, like, it's all tailored to your needs, and then you end up with just like a bunch of recommendations to watch these camping girls, and then all the good quality content like my channel will get like pushed to the side, and you won't get recommended that anymore, because YouTube's like, oh, this guy loves girl camping and thongs. And so it's just going to shove away all of the good quality stuff, like some guy like me just like ranting about girls in their thongs. And then I thought to myself, like, you know, if I wasn't married, that would be like a good business move to do like collaborations with these girls. And that was part of like the monologue that Courtney and I had, is like, I could do like camping with new girl, and it's just always a new girl, And then these girls would probably want to collaborate because like I could get them a lot of attention. Like they could, like the kinds of attention that they seem to want. And so they can go out and like just one night, that's it. And then we could do like they're usually silent because I don't know, can't vouch for the personalities that these girls have. But like I will tell you that one girl actually did talk in the video. And she seemed all right. She seemed like a normal person. And then you go back to the history and you look, like these girls have like 30 videos and they're getting like millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views. So I'd say like this is a career decision. Like these girls are probably making money. But then I gotta wonder like how dedicated are they? Are they gonna make like day in and day out like these camping videos, and like how much money are they making? And like do they really love camping that much that that's gonna be their career choice? Or are they gonna like devolve into like, rather than doing like camping videos, they're gonna be like home videos or something? Or maybe they have like a GoFundMe or what's that called? When you have like your own special pay site. There's actually a homesteading channel. I discovered that they actually have that OnlyFans deal. Like I had no idea. There's videos out there of this couple. Like I don't know if you guys know. It's a pretty popular channel, but they have an OnlyFans. I was floored by that. That blew my mind because I didn't think those two mixed. So I don't know if like the OnlyFans was like before and that's how they made their money, and then they moved off like, oh, we're gonna homestead and we're gonna be pure and we're gonna be like more mainstream, or was the homesteading like to promote the OnlyFans to make like real money? It's like weird, but it's like private public life, right? You know, like this couple had like a public life, but then they had this whole private life which was also public. So weird. But anyway, the long story short is don't go in to that niche. Protect yourself. And also, like, I want to revisit whether or not like girls are actually getting pimped out and forced to do it, or whether they're running the camera. Like, they don't have to. In which case, like, who is the pimp in this situation? It's going to be YouTube. Like, YouTube's a partner with them, and so it's then YouTube, because they're not giving them a fair wage, doing something that's maybe not as interesting to men, is like YouTube the pimp? And wait a second. Does that mean that I'm getting pimped out when I make YouTube videos? Huh. And so we've come full circle, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Maybe I should just fess up to the fact that it's like, no matter what, you're being pimped out by somebody, and maybe I'll just start an OnlyFans and skip all this business of camping, because I don't think this is girl camping, but it's definitely caveman camping. So it's like, is that a thing? Huh. Anyway, some deep thoughts there for you guys while the fire is picking up a little bit here. I thought I would do a fireside chat, because you guys have been wanting the old style of content, and I remembered in the old style of content I talked about some controversial stuff, like really controversial, and so maybe it was time to drag out the controversy again and talk about things that nobody else can talk about, unless you got some big nuts that only belongs on your OnlyFans. No, that fire's looking all right. It hasn't quite taken off yet, but it definitely is throwing some heat off the top there. We can throw the squirrel on top and let that cook overnight. Well, we definitely got to make a judgment call here. It is getting dark, but I know those squirrels, sometimes they're active like right to dark. Sometimes they're active even after dark. Like, if they want to maximize their fitness, they definitely want to get all of the corn that they can. But the trick is, like, if I've got one trapped, then that trap's out of commission. It means I can't catch anything with that trap. So I do want to keep all the traps operational and clear them out. Well, what do you guys see here? I see that trap is not tripped. It doesn't look like it's been touched. This trap over here doesn't look like anything even bothered it. And of course you can see this side over here, like not even a kernel's been disturbed from there. Nothing's been taken out of the side. And then this one here hasn't really been manipulated either. So once I got rid of like all the corn around the outside, the squirrel came pretty shy. Also because I caught one in that trap, that might have made the squirrel shy as well. The cameras, I'll review those and I'll add anything that I see that's kind of interesting throughout this video. And we're going to keep these set, keep them working, and then hopefully tomorrow morning we've got something working. Maybe we'll catch a nocturnal animal. If not, like early morning squirrel activity should be promising too. I did check the traps around 3, and it gets dark around 5, 6, which is about now. And so that might have disturbed the squirrels and they might not have been active again. So that's the catch, you know, catch 22, right? So you've got like an opportunity to clear traps, but also you're disturbing activity from your traps. So you've got to kind of weigh those pros and cons. Well guys, I am bushed. That is a lot of work. I don't know if you guys know how much work goes into cutting the wood, building teepee, fire, cooking, all that business, setting the traps. So I am going to knock off. I'm glad I got back out in the bush. I'll tell you what, it's been good. I gotta figure out which way I'm gonna put my head. Feels like this way, maybe close to the fire, and then if I have like some wood kind of next to the fire over here, I could just kind of throw it in if I get cold. I think that's the idea. And then this, I gotta kind of put it place where I feel like I could, like, you know, if there's an emergency, like animal comes, I could just like put my hand here and kind of feel around and grab it. And I think that's kind of the spot there. That works. And we're going to do hood. And then before I knock off completely, I'm going to grab my jacket and throw my jacket on too, because right now I'm not cold, but probably will be in the middle of the night. Actually, I'm gonna go grab my jacket now. I'll be right back. So one of the real reasons that I can actually go no sleeping bag is warm jacket. And then to maximize the warmth of the jacket, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my arms in the front here, and I'm gonna turn this into a blanket. So when I lay down, the vast majority of the heat will be trapped up top here, like so. There we go. Beauty. I think that's it for me. See you guys in the morning. Oh, where did I turn this off? There we go. Night, guys. Good morning. I gotta clear my throat. That cold is really getting me. Well, went outside and enjoy the day. My nose is all stuffy uppy. I don't know when that sun's gonna come up, but probably soon. I don't know for how much we're gonna stick around here, but I guess it'll really depend if we catch something. If we catch something, I'll be around here a little bit longer. I'm gonna grab a little bit of squirrel stow just to warm myself up a little bit. Breakfast of champions. It should be nice and tenderized by now if it's not too hot to drink. That's not too bad. Well, I think it's not too bad. Oh, come on, smoke right in my eyes. Yeah. All right, let's get a sip. A little floater, but not too bad. Ah. Puh. Mmm. Yeah, I should have been more careful what I stirred that with. You know, all kinds of bark floating on the top. Oh. All right. Well, let's get going and see what else we can find. Ugh. I joke with Holden a little bit, my son, he's 14, that's my version of Snapchat. I get to Snapchat with the animals. So I had a whole bunch of Snapchats this morning. We got an interesting guest, interesting new friend to Snapchat with. Check this guy out now, we'll decide what we're gonna do with it. It's a, like I say, unexpected catch. You never know what you're gonna do when you set up your traps. And it's always a good thing to make sure to tie your traps, because you don't want them to go missing, put it that way. You did something funny there, eh, buddy? You got everything caught in all of your feet, didn't you? Every single one of those traps are on your feet or tripped. Hey, what'd you do that for? Hey, buddy, what'd you do that for? You silly goose. See, there was a trap there he got into. He got the trap over here, and he also got the trap from that one. It's a triple catch. You didn't mean to do that, did you? So this, guys, is why I like to check my traps every day, or at least have something like the Reveal X. I've got the Reveal X overlooking these other game cameras, the Browning game cameras. They don't give me live feed like the Reveal X does, right? Because you never know what you're going to catch. Second to that, always secure your traps. I've got paracord, which isn't ideal for the other ones, but the ones that has a chain on it, because you don't know if you're going to catch a coyote or something else like that. And the 110s are not strong enough to actually kill a raccoon. This one's leg caught, so it's not suffering right now, it's just chilling out. It would prefer not to be there right now. You're probably wondering why I got the axe. This is one of the more humane ways to do it, which is going to preserve a lot of the fur. If you have a gun, obviously what you're gonna do is you're gonna trace a triangle or an X from the ears, and that where they intersect is where you're gonna shoot. When you're going to use an axe or a blunt object, you can use a stick, but make sure it's firm. Bridge of the nose, back of the head. With a gun, back of the head, or draw that X and dispatch your animal. Got to make sure I stay out of the trap window here. That raccoon wants to go for a nap, but it's going to go for a permanent one, unfortunately for this raccoon. And the fur's still going to be really good. It's one of those mild spells when the raccoons decide they want to come out for a little, you know, grab some food and hang out for a little bit and go for a walk. And too bad for this guy, the free meal wasn't for him. Hey buddy, what you got? You got one on each arm. You got one arm. No, you got two arms. Buddy, you went in both of those. You went in one and then you went in the other. You got a back foot and a front foot caught. How about that, eh? How's your fur looking? Pretty good? Hey? Yeah. One front and one back, and you've got 3 traps in there total. Well, dude, it's about lights out for you, isn't it? Well, that was a quick, humane kill. Obviously, you don't want any animals to suffer any more than you need to. This is going to be turning into fur for sure, and I gotta be honest with you. I gotta decide whether I'm going to eat this guy or not. I've decided that raccoon is not my favorite thing to eat. It is edible. It is not incredible. And so I have a situation. You would eat it. Our early people did eat it, but it probably was not their preferred foods because they didn't talk about it too much. They talked about kind of other animals, but they don't have any written records. I would imagine if they got hungry, they ate raccoon because it was fatty and, well, it went a long way, put it that way. Thing is,
Every wild animal is an individual. Like, I've had rutted up buck and it wasn't good either. I've had young fawn, delicious. So I think raccoons are about the same, except they have different times of year they'll be breeding, and so they'll have scent glands and things like that. The same with the deer. So it's up to you. If you want to try a raccoon, go ahead. To me, the last one I ate it tasted like raccoon piss. All right, guys, we got him out. Not a bad looking raccoon. Got a good weight to it. So I'll make a deal with you guys. If I can manage to get like a back leg off that and it smells decent, I'll cook it up and eat it. How about that? But if I get any kind of poopies or pee-pees, or it smells funny, or I can't get the glands out, I ain't eating this thing. You guys are a little far away, but I can't show you guys exactly what's going on. I am gonna keep the fur here, so I'm gonna do proper fur handling techniques. It's just sometimes you nick something and the edible parts of it go wrong. But you wouldn't eat a raccoon. Like, you don't have to eat a raccoon. And raccoon's not considered a edible portion of an animal, and that's how we define how we have to treat wild game. Like, if you got rid of the back straps of a deer, you'd be getting rid of an edible portion of an animal. And grouse, incidentally, a lot of people throw the feet away, the legs away, because they're chewy, but that's considered an edible portion of an animal, so you're supposed to eat those too. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just a little chewy. They have to be handled a little differently, just like a raccoon. Oh, there we go. Doesn't look so bad. I got some green stuff on there. I don't know where that came from, but hopefully it's not a scent gland or something. I think a lot of that fat is going to burn off when we start cooking. But you see, it looks like a giant, just looks like a giant turkey leg. Delicious. Would you guys eat that? We just got to figure out how we're going to cook it. We're going to spit roast it, or are we gonna try to make a stew out of it? Or are we gonna do caveman style and like toss it right into the coals? Well, stay tuned. Well, here she is. Ew, it touched me. Just wash my hands. If you're gonna eat a raccoon, sniff it. That's my advice to you. Because however it smells, it's going to taste. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If it smells funny, it's going to taste funny. It's going to taste exactly how it smells funny. And you want to do that before you put your spices on. Because, well, for obvious reasons, spices can hide things, but your nose and your tongue is going to taste it. Like, you're going to think, wow, I'll just mask the taste. You will a little bit, but you won't a lot. Like, eventually that stuff, that combination of the smell and the taste is going to come back up your nose, and you're going to smell and taste it. Yeah, I'm reminded last time I ate coon. And that was what spoiled it for me. I hope I don't put a lot of effort into this raccoon and then regret it. Put it that way. Let's get her cooking, because I got to get my calories in order to be able to get out of here. You're not going to go hungry off that. It's certainly a lot more significant than it is squirrel. You could eat several squirrels before you get ahead on that one. So we'll do as we did before and dangle the meat. Raccoons are just absolutely loaded with parasites. Like, if you can imagine a parasite, it probably lives in a raccoon's butt and intestine. We should be able to cook off all of those parasites. Oh, this is what you guys love, isn't it? Caveman cooking. Nice delicious slab of raccoon meat with the toes still on. Just like cooking it over the fire like a caveman.
Doesn't get much more caveman than that. Just a big slab of meat sitting there, dangling over the fire, doing its thing. Right in the fire now. It's been slow cooking for a couple hours now. We don't want to get too far on in the day because we still got to get out of here. And it's a fair walk out. So let's give her the final sear. We'll get it right over the heat there. Oh yeah, we got the drippies going down there. We got a very hot coal bed. And we're not going to take any chances with that meat, that's for sure. Well, I'm getting impatient, so I am going to take a bite of this raccoon. And my pledge to you guys is that if this raccoon is not good, this is the last this is the last raccoon I'm going to eat for a very long time. You can't swear off of like a raccoon or a meat forever. Really get intimate with the meat here. My meat, raccoon meat. It smells a little burnt because like I got pretty aggressive down here, but you could just slough that off. Oh yeah, look at, it's just juicy. It's just fatty, juicy. Yeah. And then we're probably gonna get into it's still fat. Still fatty, juicy. I probably should eat a little bit of the fat, but I don't want to cut too far into the meat just in case it's still a little pink on the inside. So we got some fat and we got a little bit of meat, mostly fat, but a little bit of meat. Smells all right. As long as we don't bite into a gland, we should be good. Remember, the glands are white, so I never find that in the fat. A little chewy, but the fat is quite good. I am impressed by that fat. That's some good fat. This one's going to be, oh, I lost it. That was going to be a bit more meat. We get into the pink. Shouldn't be any pink, but you never know. That in focus there. I want the meat in focus, people. That's quite good, actually. Yep, that's good. How does it look? Does that look good? I think that looks good. It's like a little bit red. Not too bad. It's a little bit chewy. I'll give it that. But overall, I'd say that, like if I didn't know that was a raccoon, I would just say that was a turkey leg. Half fat, half meat. Oh, that was good. What did I get in there? Oh, it's crispy fat. That's what it is. And some adobo. That's really good. I don't know if you guys get past the presentation. Our feet. A little bit red, but not too bad. All right, well, I'm gonna pack up and get out of here. I think that was a pretty good survival challenge. We successfully got 3 kinds of meat. We trapped 2 kinds. All right, that's pretty good. So if you guys enjoyed this one, we'll catch the next one. If you guys watch the whole video, write full stop. Be sure to check out the sponsor, BetterHelp. Use betterhelp.com/thewoodybeardsman. Get yourself some help if you need some help. All right, well, see you on the next one. Bye.